Hi, this is Daniel Zhang, and I'm presenting a paper called MosaicOS, a simple and effective use of object-centric images for long-tailed object detection. The motivation of this paper is, of course, object detection. Many objects do not appear frequently enough in complex scenes, like certain handbags in living rooms, which is the example is also presented similarly on the left image, and for training an accurate object detector, but are often found frequently by themselves. For example, in product images, just like the right image that you can see. And what is mosaicing? So the paper presents a method called MosaicOS. This, of course, follows the method of mosaicing. So what is mosaicing? It is just stitching several images to make a single image. This is usually used in the field of art, just like the picture on the left. So if you see it closely, it's actually a collection of face images of multiple people. So using the face images of multiple people, the artists have made a mosaic image of former President George W. Bush. So for the literature review, there were different stitching methods that the authors presented that were not novel approaches, but the approaches that other researchers have been using. So unlike current stitching methods, the MosaicOS introduces more diverse examples by leveraging fully on object-centric images, just like the one on the right, while existing methods only perform data augmentation using scene-centric images. So it doesn't have much context if you just attach scene-centric images, just like the one on the second images and the one on the third image, because there's like a bench and there's suddenly a table, suddenly a food truck, and suddenly a person holding an eagle, and it doesn't have any context, and it's not very realistic. And the one on the third is just another image that is just magnified each images for a certain zoom level, which is not very novel. So MosaicOS is only using object-centric images because that's more natural, and it allows us to control the objects that is present in the image. So this is very important because MosaicOS only utilizes object-centric images, while the existing methods randomly stitches any images to perform data augmentation. Also, the fact that this method is used to help object detection of less represented objects is very helpful and meaningful because you can choose which object you want to put in the mosaic images. So there are also different layouts of mosaics that are used in this method. So for example, on the left is just a scene-centric image in LVIS dataset. And this is just a regular image, but they are also using 2x2 mosaic, which is just a concatenation of 4 images, and 3x3 mosaic, which is also just a concatenation of 9 images. As you can see, these mosaic images only use object-centric images that only contain one object. It is to leverage object-centric images and its label and give object detection resources for less represented images. So not only can you manage to have a image that a less represented image class is presented in an image, but you don't have to get a help from people to label those images for you, because you already know where the object is because you have attached it in the mosaic image. Object frequencies in centric, scene-centric, and object-centric images. So in the diagram below, in the graph below, the red histogram is the frequency of images or objects in LVIS dataset, and the dots represent the occurrences or frequencies of images in ImageNet. So ImageNet focuses on object-centric images, while LVIS focuses more on scene-centric images. So as you can see, the top three images are clearly focusing on a particular object, while the bottom three images are not particularly focusing on a single image, but they are still containing objects in the images. So some objects like bird feeder that is presented on the bottom right image are very rare in the LVIS dataset, which poses challenges on detecting such classes for any object detection models. Using MosaicOS, we could leverage the object-centric images from the ImageNet, which can be seen on the top three images, to train object detection models for LVIS dataset by mosaicing the images from the ImageNet, just like what we saw in the different layouts of mosaics. So the overall framework of this method is that first, there's a detector pre-training phase, which pre-trains a detector using scene-centric images, which is just a regular image from LVIS dataset with box annotation. So actually the box annotation is also provided by the LVIS dataset. So you're just pre-training your base model with the already given box annotations on scene-centric images. And the second stage is pseudo labeling. It's it's a most important part of this method because this is what the novel method is all about. So they are constructing pseudo scene-centric images using the object-centric images, and of course box annotation, imputation, and mosaicing. So if you see here the stage 2, you can see there are multiple object-centric images. You concatenate them and mosaic them into one or two or multiple images, and you of course have a box annotation because the image itself is just a object. So you just stitch them together and you already know where the object is. So it is much easier to make a labeled data set for object detection model without any human effort. So stage 3 is first stage fine tuning. So this is after pre-training. So stage 2 is just preparing for a data set, and using this stage 2 data set, they are all training the model again, but in this case, not training all parameters, but some parameters in the model to fine tune this model to learn more using the pseudo scene centric images that were given from stage 2. And lastly, at stage 4, this is the second stage fine tuning, which is you again use a scene-centric images that were given from LVIS dataset, and you again fine tune the model. I honestly, frankly, I don't know why they added this phase. Usually, I think they just added this because this gives higher performance than they don't when they do not add this phase. But the stage 3 and stage 2 is for me the most important part of this framework. So a comparison of pseudo label generation. So there are 5 parts or stages of pseudo label generation, which was the stage 2 here at the overall framework. So for A, it's just a fixed location. This is the most basic thing. It just investigates the combination of whole image, center crop image, and 4 corner crops. So it gives 6 boxes per image. So it's a center, each corner, and the entire image. So it's a 6 boxes, which are just candidates of where a object could be. And the B is trust detector. It's just keeping all detection that have confidence score greater than 0.5. So this is very simple one. And C, trust the detector and then add image labels. So you trust the detector that you used in stage B, but you changed the image label. So the detectors usually tend to give image label that is more broad in the meaning. So for example, this is a turkey, but when you make image detector to classify this object or this being, it detects as a bird. So it is of course a bird, but we want them to detect it as a turkey. So you're using a image label that was already set by LVIS. So in LVIS, they already have label of turkey, and I don't know what this is, but this animal. So they changed the label from what the detector have predicted to what the actual label. So they're training by giving actual label to the model, saying that this is of course a bird, but this is also a turkey, which is a more specific meaning. So you should classify this as a turkey. And stage D is trust the calibrated detector and image labels. So in stage C, it only detected one object, which is not sufficient because of course there are 2 beings in the image. So we want to detect every beings in the image. So you're trusting the calibrated detector, which was used in stage C, but also using image labels. So you're setting a different confidence threshold for each class and redetect object. What this means is the one you used for stage B and stage C is just a very simple detection algorithm that it says I detected something if there's a confidence score larger than 0.5. But we want it to detect everything that is present in the image. So we calibrate the detector by giving a low threshold for object that is not as frequent as the objects that are frequent. So for the last frequent object classes, we give low threshold for detection of confidence scores. And for frequent object classes, we give higher confidence scores because usually object detectors are more confident on classes that are very frequent in their pre-trained knowledge. And lastly, for stage E, localization by region removal or LORE reduces detection boxes by only selecting the most probable box among neighbor boxes. So this is the illustration of LORE. You get an input image, it gets into the detector, and it goes to NMS and pre-filtering and gives a candidate locations. It is a lot of candidate locations. So what this is doing is, this is basic, the LORE, I didn't wrote here because I wanted the image to be a bigger to get a sense of what is the framework of it. So the gist of this is that the thought process is that if you remove a certain part of an image, for example, the part of an object, the object detector should be less confident on the image on the specific label. So for here, there's a mug cup, and if we delete this part of an image, the object detector should be less confident that this image has a mug cup. So here, the image detector only has 32 confidence level, 32% confidence level. And here, when they eliminated this right image, it had 8% confidence level. So, and here, oh, maybe this is a reduction. And here, when those two images are eliminated, the confidence level have declined 99%. So this gives the most reduction of confidence for the object detector. So this should be the regions that the mug cups would be. This is very brilliant, I think. And honestly, the mosaicing is not very difficult to think, but this part was very novel and quite difficult to think, I think. So there's an illustration of fixed location object detection, pre-trained detector object detection, collaborated detector object detection, and object detection used LORE. So we saw fixed location, pre-trained detector, and collaborated detector at our previous slides. Just like here, fixed location, trust detector, and collaborated detector. And this is all giving the test results of such detectors. And the one here gives the best result, as you can see in this images, this box annotations. And for the results, this is the comparison table of object detection on LVIS dataset version 0.5 validation set. As you can see, the MosaicOS had the best performance on every instances. So, and I'll just briefly talk about this. So OCI is object-centric image sources. So what image source the model used to pre-train itself. So IN is ImageNet and G is images scraped from Google. And Mosaic is just a 2x2 image mosaicing in this experiment. And hybrid means that stitching images from different classes. So there are some models that used hybrid, while others not really, which performed a little lower, I think, than those used hybrid. And P-GT, it's generating pseudo label. What we talked about, the fixed location one, trusted detector one that we have talked about for several minutes. And L is LORE, location by region removal, which was best performing, I think, among all. And S is a single box of the whole image. So it only uses a single box to detect a whole image. Yeah, so we can see that the MosaicOS gives best performance out of all the detector that have been researched or produced. And this is another comparison of performance of the MosaicOS compared to other methods. So in here, also MosaicOS performs best among all the comparison object detectors. Just a slight explanation on the annotations. AP means average precision. APB means standard bounding box evaluation. That's why there's all every evaluations here is APB, and APBR is for rare classes, APBC is for common classes, APBF is for frequent classes. I guess frequent classes, they're more give a better performance, I guess. And the MS COCO, it's additional use of MS COCO dataset for pre-training. I guess additional dataset for pre-training would give help the model perform better because they have more knowledge in the model itself. So mosaicing object-centric images is very effective. Here also, you can see that comparing these previous researches, it gives much better accuracy for rare classes, common classes, and there's not much difference in accuracy or confidence level for frequent classes, which is not actually focus of this research. The focus of this research is actually for rare classes, and it gives much better performance compared to other detectors. So mosaicing object-centric image is also effective using this performance index. They are comparing with faster RCNN, which is, I think, the state-of-the-art method right now, and OD is object detection, IS is instance segmentation. So for both tasks, the MosaicOS is giving slightly much better compared to the baseline faster RCNN. Usually there are some experiments that a noble method is less not less performed than previous researches, but in here, surprisingly, every instances they are performing better than the baseline. So the conclusion for this paper is that this paper investigated the use of object-centric images to facilitate long-tailed object detection on scene-centric images. Also, a concrete framework for this idea that is both simple and effective. Lastly, the results are very encouraging, improving the baseline by a large margin on not only detecting, but also segmenting rare objects. There could be future works. The research can attract more attention in using these already available but less explored object-centric images to overcome the long tail problem. And also, this can be implemented for our Egyptian hieroglyph detection task, as our data set was also very unbalanced in its essence. These are the references mostly for images that we used externally. And the first one is the paper that we have been discussing about. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation, and thank you for this semester. Thank you.